Hello, welcome to Going Native with me, Neil Stokes. This is the interview series where I talk to Catalan people, but in English. Although today I haven't got a Catalan person, although he does speak English. I've got someone here with us who's going to tell us a little bit about the whole English teaching world here, and in particular the Cambridge organisation and their exam system. Graham Ward, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
So, as I say, normally you'd be a Catalan person sitting there.
Yes.
I have occasionally done interviews with English speakers. How long have you been here?
20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, just coming up to 20 years in Barcelona.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's
a little while.
Yeah,
longer than I've been anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I passed last year, I passed that moment where I'd spent more time here than in my home country.
Right, yeah.
Because I came when I was like 23, 24, and that was like a big moment, because it was like,
sure.
So where am I from now?
Yeah, I'm getting that way. In the next year or two, I'll have the same.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anyway, so you're an English teacher.
Yes.
You work at the Collserola Foundation.
Yes, Fundació Collserola in and around Barcelona. We have 4 schools with more or less...
It's a group of schools, isn't it?
Yes, it's a group of schools. There are 4 schools. There's more or less 1,000 children in each school. A little under, averages out at around 1,000 in Serie A, Tibidabo. And then we have one in Biatera and one in Sant Cugat, just outside Sant Cugat.
And you're the head of English?
I am, yes.
Of the group?
Yes, of the group, yes, for secondary bachelorette. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about these schools while we're on it then. What's the origin of the schools?
The origin of the schools.
Who set them up, or when were they set up?
50 years ago, in fact, Frederick Mistral was set up, the Tibidabo school, which is the original one, and then that was became a foundation with Serie A Technical Alia. It was originally called, in fact, its full name is Frederick Mistral Technical Alia.
Okay.
They joined together to form the 2 schools. Tibidabo is now the primary school, and that feeds into Serie A, which is the secondary school. And then the other 2 schools came along later, which is Events in Sant Cugat and Ramon Fuster in Biatera. And they are primary and secondary as well, but also kindergarten, in fact. They start all the way down at P3. And they go up to Quarto ESO, and then from there they come into Serie A, where Serie A is the exclusive site for bachelorette.
Right. So it covers their whole education.
Yes, it does. It covers the whole education. Yeah, all the way through from P3 all the way through, and they're concertada. Yeah. The schools and excellent schools. Very good.
That's great. So what's your role in this organisation, and what do you do?
Well, I mean, I began as the extra school teacher, you know, maybe 17, 18 years ago now. I was an extra school teacher, and I helped to, I organised the extra school programme, and we began to do the Cambridge, as it is now, Cambridge Assessment English exams. The young learner exams in primary start to move as flyers, and then first certificate and advanced in the secondary schools. And we were doing that in the extra school programme, so it was extracurricular. And then some years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, I think it's 2013, that the Fundació Collserola, the main school, were looking to develop the program that they had in English, as they always are, looking to build on the excellence that they have. And they asked me if we could introduce the Cambridge Assessment English exams into the main curricular system, because we were having considerable success with it in the extra school program, and so that's what we did, and now we examine. I mean, we teach English, but we offer to the parents and to the children the opportunity to do the Cambridge Assessment English exams within the main curricular school day, if you like. So it's not they no longer have to do extra school English, although
it's built into their classes.
Exactly. Although we don't focus on the exams are offered, and the opportunity is there to take them, and the exams are sat at the school, and the oral exams also are sat at the school, and the written exams as well, and we organise all of the registration process and the exam day itself.
Because that's quite important, I suppose, particularly because all of that sort of stuff, the registration, the actual going to the exam, is otherwise external, no?
Yes.
And it's an extra obstacle, I suppose.
Absolutely. We've got it down to a very good system now, whereby we pre-test the children in several months, let's say, before the exam. In the Segundo Bachelorate, for example, we pre-test them in November, so we put them through a full exam, whether it be first certificate or advanced or proficiency, including the speaking part, where we use extra school teachers who are also Cambridge examiners. We use them to put the children through the spoken part of the exam. And then we take those results, and using those results, we make a recommendation to parents, and we do that via our intranet system.
Okay.
So the parents can go online, go to the intranet, and when they click on the button, a recommendation will appear with all the dates and the times and the prices and timetables and so on.
Right.
So with 4 clicks of a button, parents can matriculate their children for Cambridge Assessment English exams, which is fantastic. You're right, it takes a lot of the external process out, and we take care of it, and as I say, 4 clicks and matriculation can be done, or not.
Yeah, that's good, because I mean, parents do express a lot of interest in these exams. Why have the Cambridge exams become, because basically, just so that people are clear, the Cambridge University have for years, they've had like a family of exams, which cover the range of levels, that they've become increasingly popular among people all over the world as a way of as a credential for their English level.
I think very, very popular now. I think that they're the most recognised English exam in the world. I think it's because of the validity of the exam. To reach an exam takes 2 years to be prepared. It's a thorough process to take it from a question which they'll be, or reading comprehension that they'll be planning in Cambridge, that it's then sent out around the world, where it's put through a pre-testing process, and it then comes back to Cambridge, and the results are analysed and statistically checked that the exams are of the correct level, and that they're as difficult or as easy as they should be at that level. They're then sent out again for further checking, and they come back, and the whole process to produce an exam takes 2 years. And given that Cambridge Assessment English are offering exams almost daily these days, certainly many occasions a month, it's an extremely complex and thorough process.
And we're talking about thousands and thousands of people doing these exams around the world.
Up to sort of 5 million people, arriving at 5 million people take a Cambridge Assessment English exam per annum.
Wow.
So it's an enormous process, and in fact I've been to the warehouse in the UK where the exam papers are kept, and it's staggering the size of it and the complexity and the organisation of it. Is fantastic,
And is it so it's become almost like an industry standard, as it were? It's become.
I think that's fair comment.
But does it actually work like that? Are people, for example, these children, when they finish school and if they've got an advanced exam, for example, is that genuinely going to help them?
Yes, I think it is, absolutely. Under the Bologna Agreement, in order to graduate from university, B1 recognition is needed, which is PET level, the level below first certificate.
Okay.
But with the first certificate exam, if you were to get, using percentage terms, the results are given in a different way, but using percentage terms, if you score between 45–59%, you fail the exam.
Okay.
Although you are awarded a B1 certificate. So you have official certification at B1 level, even though you were taking a level B2 exam. So with this certification, or if you pass first certificate, then you can graduate from university.
Right.
So first and foremost, it's a big help for that reason. But I think later on as well, employers and/or Erasmus organizations, government agencies for migration want English qualifications, and Cambridge Assessment English qualifications are the most recognised.
Yeah, provides them with that the way of judging things.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's well and good to have a level of English, but you also need to be able to prove that you have a level of English. Certainly to get through the door, even, the interview process, they're going to find out whether you have the level of English that you say you have.
Yeah.
But in order to get through the door, on your curriculum, you need the qualification.
So it's almost like one of those things like you need a driving license, you need to know how to swim, you need your,
Yes.
if you're a non-English speaker, you probably need a Cambridge exam.
Absolutely. You may be able to drive a car, and if the police stop you and you can't show your license,
Correct, yeah.
then you're going to have a problem. And it's the same, I think, with speaking English, you know, in terms of you need to be able to prove what you can do.
And what did the children think of it? Is it something they enthusiastically...
Well, the exams are on a Saturday in May.
Yeah.
So they're very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The kids recognise how important it is.
They do understand that, yeah.
Yes, I think absolutely they do. I mean, as all kids at school, you know, they have their moments of thinking, well, enough Cambridge work for today. But there is a general recognition, certainly amongst the students at Fundació Collserola, that the Cambridge exams are important.
Yeah.
The Cambridge assessment exams are important, useful, and serve a genuine purpose.
Yeah.
So motivation levels are good from the children for sure.
And outside of your work at the schools, you're also a Cambridge presenter.
I am.
So why don't you tell us what a Cambridge presenter is?
Yes, Cambridge presenter is, we're a team of just under 20 people. It changes from year to year, but around 20 people, experienced teachers who live, I'm talking the team that I'm a member of is for Iberia, so Spain and Portugal. And we travel around Spain and Portugal speaking at conferences or seminars, putting out the word of Cambridge Assessment English, and teacher training is effectively what it is, helping teachers to teach their students Cambridge English, Cambridge Assessment English exams, but also general teaching of English.
And what about the... how long have you been doing that for now? That's a new thing, no? Because before that you were involved with administering exams and so on?
Yes, that's right. Before that I was a team leader for Cambridge Assessment English, which is monitoring and training examiners, speaking examiners. Part of the Cambridge Assessment English exams is an oral part, and therefore the oral parts are done with humans. You know, you can do computer-based exams, but the oral part of the exam remains face-to-face. So the examiners need training in order to do this. They also then need monitoring to make sure the very high, rigorous standards of Cambridge English exams are enforced and that procedure is followed. So as a team leader, I did that for maybe 10, 12 years. Recently, I stopped doing that in order to become a presenter, because one cannot do both roles.
And so what about the teachers? Because we talked about the students a little bit. The teachers, what sort of level are we looking at here? Because it seems to be very sophisticated, all of this. You know, I mean, you've got to look at the teaching the English language market in Spain and in Catalunya, and it's been around for a long time.
Sure.
It's very well consolidated.
Sure.
Almost everyone I know has been in an English class at some point.
Yes.
And the length of time it's been going on, I've myself seen from friends how they've increasingly took it more and more seriously and getting themselves more and more qualified and educated and so on. Can you talk a little bit about the industry here, where it's at the moment? Well,
I mean, certainly the teachers that I work with directly at Fundació Collserola were very open and very happy to embrace the Cambridge Assessment English exams. We were doing exams of a different body beforehand, and there was a general feeling that they were not fit for purpose for the purpose of our school. Whereas the Cambridge Assessment English exams were, and the teachers were very, very happy and open to it and motivated by it, because it helps because the students, as we were sort of commenting earlier, that the students were motivated to do the exams, and therefore that feeds back to the teachers, who then become, you know, more motivated, as it were, to teach them. So certainly in my experience, the teachers who teach Cambridge Assessment English exams are very happy to do it and embrace it. And it's an exam which isn't it tests the level of English that a student has. It doesn't. It's not a case of learning a list of words and then producing it the next day. It's not about memory. It's an all-round test of English and level of all the different skills of reading and writing and speaking and listening. And the teachers were very happy to do this, and the kids too. So. It's been a very, very good thing for Fundació Collserola, and we've got some excellent results, and we have teachers, students studying right up at proficiency level. We have 40, 50 students. It's not just a handful.
Right.
I think in the modern world, increasingly, the internet helps us an awful lot because of...
Well, I think people are finally... I was talking to someone the other day that people are finally watching films in original version, no? Yes. Because I've been here for over 20 years, and all along people beat themselves up, oh, I should watch film, and they're finally doing it now.
Yeah, absolutely. None of my students would even consider watching a version original film that were dubbed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not done. TV series as well.
Yeah.
Even the weaker learners or the lower level learners still prefer to watch TV series in original version. It's just becoming the way. And bloggers as well. The kids of today follow bloggers, and the bloggers tend to be, I mean, not exclusively, of course, but big world-famous bloggers tend to blog in English. Yeah. It helps an enormous amount.
Absolutely.
You know, the children spend an awful lot of time in English on the internet. Technology helps us as well. We have iPads now at the at Fundació Collserola. 3/4 of our SO children come to school with an iPad, and next year, all of them, 100% of them, will come to school with an iPad. And that makes a world of difference to how we're able to teach them and what we're able to do and the material we're able to use and authenticity that we can give the classes, the material. It's not simply opening a book, you know, books are useful, of course, but we're able to bring in authentic material and authentic articles and also there are many sort of apps these days where you can play with videos and pause them and add questions and do all manner of teaching aids can be introduced to a standard YouTube video. Yeah. But the fact that it's there is
But does that work a little bit away from... No, I know what you mean. I've seen the same with my own children. Because my daughter, her English was always a bit weak. And then she discovered YouTube. Right. And now she's got a brilliant American accent because she just spent so many hours watching YouTube with no subtitles, nothing, and just worked it out for herself. And now her English is fantastic. And it's no thanks to me. It's thanks to YouTube.
I genuinely think it's made an enormous difference.
But doesn't that sort of... Because that way of learning, which it sort of seems like you could almost say a natural way of learning, as I mean, I speak Catalan, but I've never done a class in my life. Right. My wife speaks excellent English, but she's never done a class in her life. It's just simply interpersonal relations in an intense way. No? That sort of thing, the internet is sort of like mimicking that a little bit. No, it's filling those gaps. It's when before it was like, oh, I go to English class twice a week, and that's my only contact with English. Now it's everywhere all the time.
Absolutely.
Is that changing what's happening in the classroom and in the exam rooms?
Absolutely. I think it is.
Are they adapting to that?
Yeah, I think it's changing what's happening in the classroom dramatically. We have a new pedagogic director at Fundació Collserola, Monica Girones. In fact, she used to work in a school here in Girona, and she's come to us. And we're implementing a whole flipped classrooms and other electronic or technological aids are being introduced to the classroom, electric books, for example, and all manner of apps and websites and so on. Yeah, I think it's changed dramatically how we go about teaching the children, and I think it will continue to change as well. Yeah.
Well, another thing with technology as well is it gives you the option or the possibility of being able to learn on your own.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
You know, because I think, you know, the standard sort of Victorian model of 30 children sitting in rows facing a teacher, that is already... I think English teachers were some of the first people to question that anyway, putting people in groups and working with them in small groups and breaking up tables into... and, you know, further along that line, you can see people just simply getting everything they need from a computer interface.
Yes. Are you saying I won't have a job in a few years?
Well, you have to be the guy who writes the program. That's the thing.
Absolutely. I think it is It is a concern. I mean, you're absolutely right that self-teaching will come into it. Cambridge Assessment English have a program called Write and Improve, whereby any student can write, type into, go to the website, sign up, type in, and then their text is immediately corrected with suggestions made and other ways of doing it, and then they can resubmit it. And it's software working, and that you know, I think you're right. I think that's the thin end of the wedge.
And we're getting close, aren't we? Because I mean, I use Google Docs here at work in El Punabui, and sometimes the automatic elements, automatic translation, automatic correction is spookily good.
Yes, perhaps in the future we won't need to learn a foreign language because we'll be able to. You know, use technological aids which translate for us and do it very well. Perhaps that's how it's going.
Yeah, maybe. Well, but in the meantime, hopefully you'll have a job for a little bit longer anyway.
Yes.
And so on. And well, we're going to finish in a moment. But the one other thing I wanted to mention was the November the 18th is the annual ELT English Language Teaching Conference in Barcelona, no?
Yes, and up in Sade, in Pedralbes in Sade, Saturday the 18th, organised by Exams Catalunya. Yeah. Their 5th annual ELT conference. This year with a focus on interaction in the classroom, interaction between teacher and students, and how to focus on it and how to get genuine results with it. Also about inclusivity. Having in mind that these days an increasing number of special education needs students in the classroom, which need to be taken into account by the teacher and they can benefit the class as a whole. There's some talks on that. There's also a talk on technology. We were just talking about technology now. The opening talk given by a senior Cambridge researcher is coming to give a talk about technology in the classroom and how we can use it and how we can the importance of it, and then there's a talk on role models, on near-peer role models. So the idea being that a better role model for a student is not necessarily the L1 teacher who dominates the language and who clearly doesn't make any grammatical or pronunciation mistakes. That role model can be a little bit intimidating, and perhaps a better role model would be a peer, a near peer, so somebody from the classroom.
I have been saying that, honestly, because in this programme, whenever I have a guest, Catalan person doing this in English, obviously a lot of them are like, oh, my English is not very good. And I always say, look, the people watching, you are the example. Right. They can't be me. Right. But they can look at you and think, oh, my God, look at how great his English or her English is. I could do that. And I think that's a very important motivational.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it will be a very interesting talk, and it's certainly a very interesting idea, and it makes sense. Just one can understand it clearly. You know that
Well, it's always when people would non-English native English teachers. Maybe not now, but before had like a sort of inferiority complex, and I always thought, but no, they're the. Because they're the ones that the students can be like. They can't be like this guy from Dagenham.
Exactly.
Not that they would want to be.
Yeah, you can't get yourself a Brummy accent, but you can follow this person, and this is your role model. And there's a talk on that on Saturday the 18th. So
well, any English teachers watching, I hope you're going along to the conference. Very important to keep up. And will you be giving a workshop yourself? No?
I am giving a workshop at that, in the afternoon on proficiency teaching and life in the proficiency classroom.
Great.
So I look forward to that and receiving some ideas from the teachers as well as giving them.
Well, best of luck with that then.
Thank you.
Graham, thanks very much for coming in.
Been a pleasure.
I've learned a lot today, and good luck with your workshop.
Thank you. Pleasure.
This was Going Native with me, Neil Stokes. I'll see you next week.